So Andrew, one of the amazing parts about your story is that you had a great job at Google. Tell us a little bit more about how that experience was. What were the, sort of pros and cons of leaving a big platform behind? And most importantly, maybe what would be your advice to others who are considering a similar move?
Absolutely. It's a great question. You're right. In many ways, leaving a company like Google or maybe Apple or Amazon or Twitter or Facebook, any of these FAANG companies, is very difficult for a lot of reasons. I mean, one, they have incredibly brilliant people that you get to call your colleagues. Of course, the compensation is top notch. They have a number of perks. It's a cushy job, absolutely. Especially at that time in my life when I was 22, 23, I really wanted to take on a bit more risk. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to grow faster, develop new skills more quickly, and just get immersed in all the things that come with founding a company and being at a startup. I really felt like if I didn't quit Google, if I didn't leave the mothership, so to speak, and start a venture of some kind, that I was really, really going to regret that, and that it'd be a missed opportunity.
Iterable is such an amazing story. Tell us a little bit about the first days, how it all started.
The idea really stemmed from myself and my co-founders' experiences at Google and Twitter. For me, working at Google, I was an insider there. I saw how the proverbial sausage was made in terms of how they did marketing and marketing automation and communications. And I really just remember being taken aback by how clunky their processes seemed. So I just remember seeing that and thinking, this is really interesting. This pain point exists at this mighty company like Google. If that's the case, then probably this problem exists, and probably to an even greater extent at many other companies out there. Around November or December of 2015 is when we got introduced to you and CRV. And I'll never forget that. I remember, at least from my perspective, we were raising our Series A, and at the 11th hour, I remember you took a red-eye flight, I think, from Boston to SFO, and we drove down to Menlo Park for Palo Alto, and I think you were the last pitch that we gave.
And basically, I didn't leave until you signed the term sheet, which was about 8 hours or so. So that was kind of awkward to just, wait there. But I really didn't want you guys to, go shake hands with someone else.
I remember you coming to the office for the first time, and I was thinking in my head, I hope we don't scare this guy away.
Between the time we signed the term sheet and actually closed the deal, you guys closed $1 million contract with a company when you were 8 people. And that's just an incredible achievement.
Yeah, to any folks out there that are on the fence about starting a company or are on the fence about leaving a cushy job, I would say take the risk. Of course, it needs to be a calculated risk, and you need to do what's right for you and your family. But the startup ecosystem is stronger than ever, honestly, in 2021. And there are a number of incredible firms and partners that you can work with, like CRV and Murat.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great advice. Andrew, tell us a little bit more about what you look for in an investor. The company raised quite a few rounds at this point. You had a number of people join the board or the cap table. What's important for you? What do you look for?
It's really about the people. Honestly, it is more so than the valuation, more so than maybe the branding of a firm or the reputation. You're going to go through a lot of ups and downs over the years with this person, with this firm. And if you're not compatible, if you find it difficult to engage with them, talk with them, work with them, problem solve together, if you're unable to do that, then it's not going to bode well for the relationship, certainly, but also the long-term success of your company and your business. How about you, Murat? How about, what advice do you have for budding entrepreneurs?
You're looking at it exactly the right way. The personal connection and that trust, building that is really important. Take as much time as needed and really try to get to know the person in however way you can. And then the other thing is, I think picking the right investor at the right time is also very important. What I mean by that is an early stage investor can come in and help you a lot as you're thinking about trying to find that initial product market fit, thinking about hiring those first few executives, and they would have a good understanding of what to do when something's working, not working. They tend to not maybe panic as much because they're used to things not always working well and taking a few tries, things like that. When you're much later in the company's life cycle and you're thinking about now maybe going public, now that you might be looking for an investor who really specializes in that area and kind of has the right connections. So being thoughtful about that is really important. The person you're picking, their integrity, their EQ, all of that really plays a huge role. And then I would say things like terms and valuation, of course they're important, but I would absolutely not put them as my highest priority. I think that can lead you in the wrong direction and can be very, very costly.
So Murat, I know you're originally from Turkey, and I know a number of your partners are also from a number of countries around the world. Talk to me a bit about what it's like working with a team that's as diverse as that.
Yeah, that's something we care a lot about at CRV. You're right that we have people from, I want to say maybe 8 or 9 different countries at this point. So it's a lot of different cultures, different countries, different languages. And I feel like that gives us the diversity of thought that we look for when we're trying to make a decision, because all of these people come with their own backgrounds, their way of thinking, and challenge each other when we're looking at an opportunity, trying to decide whether we should invest or not. And diversity, of course, can come in many different forms. I'm also very happy to see that our team is now 50% male, 50% female almost. That again brings the type of thinking that you need to be successful in today's environment, to pick the right opportunities. And I feel very proud of the team we were able to build at CRV. So how do you guys think about it?
So for me, diversity, equity, inclusion is personally a really important initiative for me. Coming from the son of a Taiwanese immigrant and being part Asian American, this is something that hits near and dear to my heart. So we made that a priority internally. We've actually made an incredible hire just recently. So we brought on board our first ever head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But more broadly, the marketers that we service come from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, very diverse set of practitioners that we have. And for me as a leader, it's very important that the people behind Iterable, the people that are building the platform, building the product, servicing the product, it's very important to me that they are able to empathize well with our customers and ultimately with our end users. So those are just a couple of reasons why diversity is especially important to me. And Murat, we've been working with one another now for over 5 years, and we've been through a lot of ups and downs together. There are a number of things that I really respect about you and your personality and working style. I would say just the level of emotional intelligence that you have really goes a long way and has made working with you a lot easier. I feel like it's very easy for me to approach you when there's an issue, when there's a problem, when there's something you should know about. You're usually the first person that I actually call or text or notify when something like that happens. So just the approachability that you have.
Thank you. You're a great leader. You have your own style of leadership. I would say that when we're in a board meeting, I see how the team around you looks up to you and listens to you, but it's never, from a place of fear or hierarchy or anything like that. It's driven by their respect to you. And I think that being that kind of leader is really, really important. So I feel like Iterable is really fortunate to have you as their CEO and leader.
Very kind of you, very thoughtful, very well said as well. Appreciate it.